What do you got, Daniel Jones? This is a year he's got to develop. Show me something, Daniel Jones. At some point, the quarterback has to lift his team. Show me something, Daniel Jones. This is the kind of game that Daniel Jones has to get right. Show me something, Daniel Jones. At home, big game, Philadelphia Eagles. This is a game, Daniel Jones, that you were drafted to win. Show me something.
And Daniel Jones did show us all something last week with the win over the Philadelphia Eagles. Peter, I have a prediction. I predict you will not be selecting Daniel Jones this week because the Giants are on a bye. Although you can pick him if you would like to. He could show you what he's doing on his bye week, but I have a feeling that that will not be one of your selections. But hey, who knows where Daniel Jones is going to go, Peter? I've been impressed, I've been concerned, but right now it looks like he could be moving in the right direction. We are going to move through the Show Me Something draft. I have a trivia question for you. Speaking of the Giants, you mentioned Super Bowl 25 earlier. Who was the holder for the ill-fated 47-yard field goal by Scott Norwood that went wide right?
Frank Reich.
All right. Is that right? That's right.
I don't know.
Hear the horns.
Is that right?
There are the horns. That's right. You get the first pick. Well done,
All right.
Frank Reich.
Good.
Okay. Boy, didn't even hesitate. Didn't even have to think about it. I like it. You get the first pick.
Well, there was a reason you were going to ask me. If it was Joe Schlabotnik, you would not have asked that question.
I didn't know who it was.
And
for all I knew, it was Joe Schlabotnik. He's a good friend of mine.
And I do remember after the game, standing in the media food line at about 12:30 in the morning behind Morton Anderson, who had done the game on Danish TV. And we were just talking, and I said, "What'd you think?" And he goes, I don't think the laces were in the correct position aerodynamically. And I'm paraphrasing. This was 30 years ago. But he said, I think that the position of the laces helped the ball, go to the right from Scott Norwood. And, for whatever that's worth, I don't know.
All right. You get the first selection this week. Show me something. Not Daniel Jones.
Show me something, Drew Lock, who's going to become my new Daniel Jones. 10 interceptions the last 5 weeks. 10 interceptions the last 5 weeks. And, I think that in the offseason, there was this sort of narrative around Denver. Hey, we got everybody. We got Jerry Jeudy. We've got KJ Hamler. We've got all of these new weapons. We brought in Melvin Gordon. We are in great position now to have our long-term offensive weaponry in place. And okay, all right, Drew Lock, you're the guy. Let's go. But there's one thing about this. Drew Lock was always sort of the guy who, until he proved otherwise, was a little bit along for the ride. And so far, he's shown that he's along for the ride. And that John Elway had better be studying the quarterbacks in this draft. Because, look, it's not logical to think that Drew Lock is going to play great against this hyper defense this hyper aggressive defense that Miami has, but he's got to start playing great against somebody. So let's say this Sunday, show me something, Drew Lock, that you belong as the long-term quarterback of the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, between the ineffectiveness and the injuries, that's the key. He's had too many injuries. If you want to be your franchise quarterback, you have to be available to the franchise. The best quarterbacks just don't miss games. Show me something, Jameis Winston, assuming that we will see him possibly as the starter, if not as the starter, as a guy who plays plenty on Sunday for the Saints against the Falcons, the last team Winston faced as a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, throwing that interception in overtime that ended the season and his career in Tampa. This is his opportunity. This is his Teddy Bridgewater moment, potentially, to come in and reestablish himself in the NFL and maybe get teams to start thinking about Jameis Winston as a potential starter when it's time to spin the wheel of free agency in March of 2021, Peter. So show me something, Jameis Winston.
Show me something, Matt Eberflus. Speaking of spinning the wheel of free agency. How about spinning the wheel of guys who are going to get interviewed to be head coaches after this season? This is precisely the kind of game that is going to draw interest to Matt Eberflus as a head coach in the NFL in 2021. The first time in his career that he's had a chance to game plan for Aaron Rodgers. And so this is going to be one of those days that you say, okay, I like the Colts defense. As I said earlier, they've held 6 of 9 foes under 300 yards. But those 6 of 9 foes have not been quarterbacked by Aaron Rodgers. Show me something, Matt Eberflus.
Show me something, Ezekiel Elliott. We mentioned him earlier in the program. The disappointing performance so far this year. 2 weeks to get ready. The Vikings defense, a bunch of guys who weren't supposed to be playing defensive line are playing defensive line. I see guys out there with numbers I recognize, names I don't. This is Ezekiel Elliott's opportunity to reestablish himself. The passing game needs a real running game threat in order to get those guys on the outside going now that Andy Dalton's back. If the Cowboys are going to turn it around and try to double their win total between Sunday and Thursday against the Vikings and then Washington, Zeke has got to be a big part of it. Show me something, Ezekiel Elliott.
Show me something, Carson Wentz. I mean, he could be my new Daniel Jones too, because no matter how many times he gets inordinate praise from the Eagles, from his teammates, from his coach, whatever, the eyes do not lie. He's playing lousy. Now, it doesn't help that he's got a poor offensive line in front of him, but it's so interesting that we're all kind of looking at Philadelphia at Cleveland as sort of Cleveland's going to win that game. I mean, that cannot be accepted if you are Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz. Show me something, not just today, but in the last 7 weeks of this season, Carson Wentz.
Show me something, Adam Gase. This is your last best opportunity to avoid joining a very small fraternity of coaches who have gone 0-16. Rod Marinelli, Hugh Jackson, they're saving a seat for you, Adam. And when you look at the back end of the schedule, this really is the optimum chance to avoid that fate. Extra time to get ready. The Chargers are going to find a way to do Chargers things, and they're going to let you hang around. You can steal this game. Play like you did last Monday night against the Patriots, and the Jets will make it to 1-9. All right.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.